Hi, and welcome back to our daily news updates. Here's a look at the top news stories from around the world. We begin with a significant development in the long-awaiting verdict of social activist Narendra Dabholkar's murder. A Pune court has convicted two men, Sachin Andure and Sharad Kalaskar, sentencing them to life imprisonment for their role in Dabholkar's shooting in 2013. However, the court acquitted three others due to insufficient evidence. While Dabholkar's family expressed some satisfaction, their fight isn't over. They believe the masterminds behind the killing remain free and plan to appeal to the Supreme Court for further investigation. This case has gained national attention due to the suspected connection with the murders of other prominent rationalists like Govind Pansare, M.M. Khalurgi, and Gauri Lankesh. The lack of clear motivation in these killings has led to speculation of a broader conspiracy targeting rational voices in India. Moving on, the Supreme Court has granted interim bail to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal until June 1st, allowing him to campaign for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. However, this comes with strict conditions. Kejriwal is barred from assessing his office, engaging in any government work, commenting on the specific case related to his bail, interacting with witnesses and related documents, and must furnish a bond. This verdict is significant because the Supreme Court clarified that bail conditions shouldn't restrict a politician's fundamental rights to political activities and public rallies. The court further explained that interim bail is granted on a case-by-case basis and is not a precedent for future situations. Shifting gears to the economic front, India's industrial output for March showed a slowdown, dipping to 4.9% compared to 5.6% in February. While manufacturing, a major contributor, grew at its highest pace in 5 months, mining and several key manufacturing segments like consumer durables saw contractions. Despite the March dip, overall industrial output in 2023-24 remained slightly higher than the previous year. It's important to remember that these numbers are a complex picture. While positive growth in some sectors is encouraging, a slowdown in others requires further investigation. In a security operation, a major encounter took place on Friday in Chhattisgarh's Bijapur district. 12 Naxalites were killed and 2 security personnel were injured in an IED blast. This is the third major encounter in the past month and has pushed the total Naxalite fatalities in the state this year to 103. Security forces also seized weapons and propaganda materials from the Naxalite camp. The Naxalite insurgency has been a long-standing challenge in India, particularly in central and eastern regions. The Chhattisgarh government has intensified its operations against the rebels, aiming to curb their influence and violence. Heading north to Haryana, the BJP government, seemingly facing a loss of majority, has called for a cabinet meeting on May 15th. Speculation suggests this meeting will decide on convening an assembly session to prove their majority. Currently, the government appears to be short of the required 45 MLAs for a majority in the 90-member assembly. Reports indicate that 3 disgruntled MLAs from the Jannayak Janata Party might join forces with the ruling party, potentially tipping the scales. However, the opposition Congress Party contests this. They claim to have the support of 45 MLAs, exceeding the government's strength. They have urged the governor to dismiss the government, citing loss of confidence in the leadership and hold fresh elections under president's rule. Governor Bandaru Dattatreya will need to decide between accepting the Congress demand or exploring other options. Tensions remain after the Election Commission publicly refuted a letter from Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. Kharge's letter alleged discrepancies in voting data, suggesting a possible bias in the recent elections. The EC, however, criticized the letter as an attempt to create confusion and push one-sided narrative. This rebuttal came just before a scheduled meeting between the India Bloc and the EC. Unsurprisingly, India Bloc leaders expressed dismay at the public criticism. Adding fuel to the fire, Congress leader Abhishek Singhvi raised concerns about the delay in addressing complaints against Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. He also questioned the sudden rise in final voter turnout compared to provisional figures. While the EC didn't address all the opposition's concerns, it did agree to look into recent practice of Uttar Pradesh police issuing red cards to citizens, a move seen as a political harassment by some. Switching focus, with summer approaching in India, the Indian Union Health Ministry has taken a proactive step by issuing standardized guidelines for hospitals to accurately diagnose and record heat-related deaths. These guidelines, developed by the National Programme on Climate Change and Human Health and the National Centre for Disease Control, are aimed at improving data collection and response to heat waves. This move is crucial as climate change increases exposure to extreme heat events, making it more vital to identify and track heat-related fatalities accurately. The guidelines outline recommendations for autopsies, which will be based on factors like individual circumstances, age, and available resources. While autopsies are not mandatory for all cases, the Health Ministry encourages collaboration between hospitals and forensic medicine departments. Samples will be sent for further analysis to ensure a comprehensive understanding of heat-related deaths. In a significant diplomatic development, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution acknowledging Palestine's eligibility for full UN membership. India proudly joined 143 other countries in voting for the resolution, reinstating its long-standing support for Palestine's aspirations. That the Security Council considers Palestine's application for full membership. It's worth noting that India has been a firm supporter of Palestine since its early days, being one of the first non-Arab states to recognize both the Palestine Liberation Organization and the State of Palestine. With this resolution, Palestine will enjoy additional rights and privileges as a participating state, including sitting amongst member states and participation in various UN activities, starting in September. However, a cloud hangs over the progress as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned of a potential humanitarian crisis in Gaza, urging against an escalation of violence. Speaking of conflict, the war in Ukraine continues as Russia launches a cross-border ground offensive into Ukraine's Kharkiv region, prompting civilian evacuations in the area. Ukrainian officials reported the attack early this morning and claimed to have repelled the initial incursion. However, fighting continues, including Russian aerial strikes near the border. Ukrainian sources suggest Russia may have made limited territorial gains in an attempt to create a buffer zone and prevent Ukrainian attacks into Russia. This marks the most significant Russian land offensive in the region since the war began in February 2022. The situation remains fluid, and neither the Russian Defense Ministry nor Ukrainian officials have provided a complete picture of the ongoing clashes. Finally, in a move towards improving relations, China has appointed a new ambassador to India after an 18-month gap. Xu Feihong takes over as the 17th ambassador, aiming to restore dialogue and cooperation between the two countries. His appointment comes at a time of heightened tensions that escalated in April 2020 following border clashes among the line of actual control. Ambassador Xu emphasized the importance of bilateral ties and the global impact of cooperation between India and China. Xu's message aligns with recent statements by both Prime Minister Modi and President Xi, who have called for improved relations. It remains to be seen if this new ambassador can bridge the current divide and usher in a new era of Sino-Indian cooperation. And that concludes our news report for today. Stay tuned for more updates and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. This is Chronicle Daily signing off.